Hello, Lola here. Today I'm going to show you how to have multiple custom cursors in your game and how to change between them. So let's get started. Alright, so you saw Matt Asplan's cursor video and you're wondering, but what if I want multiple ones? Well, I'm gonna show you. First, you are going to need a widget for your cursor. Add a canvas and an image. Change from fill screen to design on screen in the top right. This will clamp the size of the widget. If your cursor is looking at a different direction than mine, for example, the top right, you will want to have your image on the left of the anchor. Basically, the anchor will be what's going to be clickable. Just like Matt Asplan's recommended, I think 50 by 50 is a good size. Let's leave the widget for now. We will need a game instance. You can create one or use the one you are using for your game. Now, once you got your game instance, it's important to apply it. So go to Edit, Project Settings, search Game Instance, and make sure it is set to the correct game instance, the one you just created. Now, while we are still in the settings, you are going to search for cursor and add a software cursor. Make sure to select your widget, and on the left, make sure you select what you want your cursors to be. So if you want it to be the default cursor, or if you want it to be like when you are overlapping some text, you can write this little icon. We're going to choose default. Now you can leave. Make sure you save. Now let's add our cursor to the game. Okay, so I made 3 cursors in Blender. If you want to use my cursors, you can find them in a Discord in the description. Now we are going to create an event in the cursor game instance. We will call this event whenever we want to change the cursor. So based on some actor overlapping or UI button press, if a character has low health, whatever you want. We are going to need a few variables. Make one for your default cursor. Make sure the variable type is texture. Make another one for the second cursor and the third one. You can add as many as you want based on how many cursors you have. Then we will add an active cursor. Basically, those 3 variables will never change, but they will change active cursor. And finally, add a variable to select the cursor. It will be an integer. Now all you need to do is tell Unreal Engine, hey, I want this cursor to be set as the active cursor based on the cursor selector integer. So to do this, simply drag active cursor, make it a set, drag the input, use a select node, add an input because we have 3 cursors, and you can start plugging things. A select node will return a value based on the index. So for example, if I have cursor 0, 1, and 2, I plug my cursor integer. Now if I want to use cursor number 1, I will simply have to change the cursor selector integer to 1. And Unreal Engine will decide which one of these cursor to choose. Now that this is done, let's go back in the cursor widget, because our cursor is still a white square. In the brush setting, go to bind and create a binding. Here we will define the image of the cursor based on the image in the game instance that is selected. So you can split the structure pin, and here you got the return value image. So what you're going to do is simply cast to game instance, the one you made for your game. In the object, simply write game instance, and finally drag the output and search for active cursor. This is the value we will change, and drag it into the input of the return node. Now, whatever active cursor is, it will be the displayed cursor. By default, it will be a white square. Now, if you want to see your cursor on screen, simply go back to your character blueprint in Event Begin Play, search for Player Controller, and set Show Mouse Cursor. Plug it, set it to True. If you play, you can see my cursor is a white square. To fix this, simply go to your game instance and set a default value for your active cursor. For example, select Cursor 1. In your game instance, make sure you have a texture selected for each cursor. And now, we have our cursor on screen. And you can see it is the default value we set earlier. Now let's see how to change it at runtime. There is an endless amount of ways you can change your cursor at runtime, based on a trigger overlap, or based on your health, or based on which level you are in, or just in your pause menu. For this video, I'm going to use an actor overlap to change the cursor. So I will create an actor, add a box collision, add a begin overlap. I'm just going to make sure that the cube is visible. And now, when our third-person character is overlapping with the box we want to cast to our game instance, select the object to be getGameInstance. So now all you need to do is set the integer value and then trigger the event we have created in our game instance. So simply set cursor selector, promote this to a variable, and make it public. This will allow us to change the value for each myCursorChanger actor I have placed in the world. And now trigger the custom event, which is cursor change. Plug it, and there you have it. Make sure you compile, place your cursor changer in the world, and now you can see the value cursor selector can be edited. So for the first one, I'm going to set it to 0. The second one, it will be to 1. And the third one, it will be to 2. So now, when I will enter the trigger on the left, it will select the first cursor, the second cursor, and the third cursor. Now if we play, you can see it's working. Our cursor is changing at runtime. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, and share the video with your friends. I'll see you later.